What's up? Hi. Hello. I'm recording from my home for the first time in a while, recording in the United States for the first time in a while, recording while not having to do cancer treatment for the first time in a while. For those of you who don't follow along my vlog, and I assume that is many of you, my name is Mike Lynn, and I'm a stage 4 metastatic melanoma patient who just finished doing treatment. I did PD-1 blockers or BRAF blockers, targeted therapy for 1 year, and I finished out my treatment while playing a season of professional basketball in Costa Rica, which is kind of a ridiculous sentence to say. And I promise for those of you who have been watching and keeping up with my story that I will stop inserting that sentence into everything I do for a while, but the excitement hasn't worn off. I still am walking around saying, hey, guess what? I played basketball in Costa Rica. Yeah, I'm still pretty stoked about that. However, we did lose in Game 5 of a best-of-5 finals by 1 point. We had the lead twice in the last minute and blew it. It's kind of why I haven't recorded for a week since finishing treatment. I have been pouting and licking my wounds. But the crazy part about that is my perspective, given I finished cancer treatment a day before Game 5 of the finals, has allowed me to kind of parse out both situations, both losing in the finals and finishing treatment, along with returning home after 3 months of a foreign adventure, in a kind of unique way. So I figured I would talk about those. I also figured I would bring up finishing cancer treatment as a general state of being because I've done it 3 times now. And while this one is vastly different, I think it's more important for me to talk about like the expectations and what I'm going to go through in the more broad sense rather than the unique sense of having lived abroad and finished there, because that's not really applicable to most cancer patients. And while it's a cool story, I know that I'm going to have to deal with the cancer-specific stuff pretty soon here, so I'm going to talk about those as well. So where to start? One, I want to clarify something, and this might only be important to me, although I've had many cancer patients and survivors tell me that this is something that sticks in their brain too. I'm in this weird period in between finishing treatment and getting my last set of scans and then an okay from my oncologist, where I don't really qualify this as remission, even though I technically already am in remission. I started doing treatment while in remission because we surgically resected the melanoma from the lymph node in my groin. And when I had done treatment before that, it killed all the melanoma in there. So I was pretty done with melanoma this whole year. Like, I think I am technically a year in remission. But in terms of how we count it for monitoring, I believe my oncologist would probably both say that once you get the scans that are clean post-treatment, then you're kind of in this remission period. Like, we're going to watch 5 years from there. And also, this stuff really doesn't matter. 5 years is a made-up metric anyway. It's just an estimation. But it would make me feel good to get to 5 years clean, because that means I'd live the next 5 years without cancer. So that's one weird point that I wanted to bring up. I don't know why I felt like that was important to get out, but I know there are people who are concerned with stuff. Another thing, I'm going to talk about basketball more in different episodes. I've been talking about it a lot in all of my prior vlogs. The thing I thought was interesting about losing in the finals and having to contextualize that is I wasn't playing on the court during the finals. By the time we got there, my hips were just ravaged, and I wasn't going to see big minutes even if I was like fully healthy. I was pretty much a player coach, and losing in the finals of a pro basketball league, specifically the only pro basketball league I've ever played in, it's like heart-wrenching. But there are degrees of pain for losing. And if you're not on the court, if you're not putting the work in, if you weren't out there and had a chance to impact the game, it's like a little easier. And so my heart goes out to the guys who played in that game, who worked all season to get that position. And it's 100 times worse for them. Now, granted, I cried tears with them and it was super sad. But concurrently, I also had this unique position of finishing cancer treatment the day before. So in and out of the pain, in and out of the moment of losing, I got to kind of big picture focus and go, yeah, I just finished cancer treatment. Like, this sucks in terms of losing, but I just finished cancer treatment. I'm cancer free. I just finished this adventure in Costa Rica. And this is actually the first time I've gotten to say this out loud, because it would be so selfish of me to try and bring that perspective to my teammates. Like, I didn't say that one time. I didn't even mention that I finished treatment before our game, because it's not about me. It was never about me. And to bring it up before Game 5 of the finals would be really selfish. And even afterwards when we lost, like, if we had won, I would have told everyone. I'd be like, hey, we get to all celebrate both these things. Once we lose, no one wants to hear the cancer guy on your team being like, well, I mean, for me, it's easier because I finished cancer treatment. So I get to say that out loud right now for the first time. And it's kind of like, this load off my chest. And if any of the dudes who are watching see this, believe me, I understand how much it sucks. It still sucks for me. I just have this weird, bigger thing in my life, which I would almost never expect. That's how crazy cancer is. Playing in a pro league or being part of a pro team is one of the big checkoff items of my life, whether I had cancer or not. And it is diminished by the fact that I just finished cancer treatment. And I don't mean diminished in terms of its like life magnitude. Like I'm going to look back on that more fondly than many experiences in my life. That's way up on the list in terms of going to play basketball. But in terms of where my emotional bandwidth lies and how I have to actually take care of my life in a pragmatic sense, I mean, that is one of the shitty parts of cancer is it gets your sensibilities in order real fast. And I know that remission and or being done with treatment is going to have its own unique set of challenges, and I need to start preparing myself for that. So let's talk about that for a second, because I think that there's this perception from people who both are going through treatment or who haven't gone through cancer at all, that when you finish cancer treatment, especially if you're lucky enough to get into remission like I have been, that you're just on top of the world. You're like, oh my God, this is great. And there is this degree of joy. Like you just finished the hard part theoretically, but this is now my third time finishing treatment. And the first two times, while they were slightly different circumstances, and the first two times I was like gravely ill. Both times when I finished, I had colitis and hepatitis respectively. And it took me periods of time being on prednisone, and so longer exposure to steroids, and having to like figure out where I was going to land, what the timing was going to be when I was going to be healthy. So there was no countdown to ending treatment. Both times it ended abruptly when I did immunotherapy. This time I knew it was coming. So maybe the circumstances will be different. Like I feel absolutely phenomenal this week. Outside of losing the finals, like I've come home and I've readjusted to living, and I've gotten to spend time with my girlfriend, and I'm making plans with my friends. And it's like everything I've pictured, right? I have way more freedom. It is undoubtedly a better time. In fact, that's a good point to bring up. I had such an awesome year of cancer treatment. If you could draw up a year of cancer treatment for stage 4 metastatic melanoma, what I did would be it. Like, not very many side effects. My mental health was pretty good. Like I was upbeat on a daily basis. I've been vlogging through it. I got to go play professional basketball. I advanced my life in a ton of ways. I advanced my relationship with my girlfriend. It was great. Like I felt like I was cheating the entire time because I had so few problems. And still, as soon as I was done, I got home, I got settled in, and like I was 50 times happier than I'd been at almost any point last year, including when I was playing basketball. It's like there's a big difference between having fun and being upbeat and feeling like joy and freedom. And legitimately, I feel so much better this week than I had the prior 365 days, because waking up and taking 9 pills every morning and then 3 at night and all the adjacent pills and doing all the labs and stuff, it's fucking miserable. No one needs to go through that. And even though I had the best version of it, like how am I supposed to compare that year with potentially days of health, whatever they are? It's been a week so far. I hope I have a billion years of health, but I know it's going to be somewhere in between that. But it just shows you how mentally impacting going through cancer can be. I had like the Club Med of cancer treatment, and it was still kind of a shitty year, despite the fact that I did some really cool things inside of it. So I keep kind of deferring what the expectations are and why this is different than the other two times. I think what I've experienced is that you get to this point of joy and relief, right? Like you finish cancer treatment and you're like, I did it. I did the hard thing. And then you try and reacclimate, and it usually it's gone okay, from a structural sense in my experience. But eventually, once you're done with the full fight or flight of being in cancer treatment, which I still was, even though it was easy last year, I was in fight or flight most of the year. Eventually, you have to grieve the situation when you have enough bandwidth for that. And granted, I grieved the situation like in and around this year. And I think people who go through cancer will go through these waves of grief and stuff like that. But if you get through treatment, and like I said, especially when you're in remission, that means you're in this weird no man's land of like, okay, well, I have a future, but it's very impacted by cancer. And then you start to like zoom out more and go like, oh shit, I have no idea like how to structure my life. I have no idea how to plan. I have no idea how I'm supposed to feel about my future, especially stage 4 metastatic melanoma. I don't want to speak for other cancers. I only know for melanoma, which is so aggressive and so recurrent, and I've seen it come back now twice. It's just hard for me to picture safety. And so you get into this weird funk where you go, damn, this is my life. And that's the grieving process I'm going to have to go through at some point. And there's no pressure for it to happen. I'm not going to push it, or I'm not going to be like, man, I have to really, really think this through. I've thought it through. Grief is different than that. It's the same way that joy is different than happiness, is different than fun. Grieving this situation is different than being sad about it, which is different than being angry about it. They're just all different things. And I think letting myself feel them when it happens is the right move. So what do I do now? And I'm not talking about like my life plan. I'll figure out what I want to ramp up in terms of work, in terms of taking on clients, in terms of, pursuing this nonprofit more, in terms of making content more. All that stuff is secondary. What do I do now in terms of, well, one, finishing out the process of treatment and monitoring? Well, like I said, I have PET scans in a week, then I'll have oncology, I'll have labs, I'll have endocrinology, I will do a circulating tumor test, all these things to make sure that I hopefully am legitimately clean as I finish up cancer treatment. Then the monitoring period will be PET scans every 3 months and ctDNA every 3 months will offset them. So I have like 6 weeks of monitoring. I'll do derm every 3 months alongside that. And then it's just trying to take care of my body and my mental health. I'll try and do the same things. I'll try and eat well. I'll try and exercise. I'll try and hydrate a lot. I'll try and sleep. Basically, the more I've done this, the more I've learned that I'm just trying to add fractional percentage points onto the chance of staying in durable remission. And I guess my track record's okay, at doing that. Melanoma is weird because I have a success story in that I've beaten it 3 times, but also I don't want to say beaten it yet. It hasn't happened. But I have a success story in that I finished treatment successfully 3 times. But like maybe let's just see if this one sticks. Either way, it's a lot to think about. And like I bring up on this vlog all the time, a lot of this is just for me to decompress. I haven't been in the States in a while. I haven't recorded in this space in a while. And I'm actually like nervous. This is weird to be nervous on my own vlog with no one sitting around me and no imposition on my time or what I can say. But it just shows that I care a lot about this. I care a lot about talking to you guys as cancer patients and your loved ones in the sense that I want this to be representative of what I'm going through. And right now, a lot of what I'm going through is like, I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to just stop this here because I think I kind of gave you where I'm at and what's going on. And I'll be sure to update it soon. But mostly I just want to say thanks to everyone who's watching right now and has watched throughout my last year of treatment. It's helped me a lot. Hope you're all doing well. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.